Hey guys, it's Dr. Nate here at Thrive Dental and Orthodontics, and now I want to talk to you about how to respond to negative reviews, whether it's on Facebook, Google, YouTube, or anything else. All right, guys, so no matter what you do, if you're doing something and there's people watching, there's people coming to your place, there's people buying your product, you're bound to get a negative review. Negative reviews, there's no way to put it, suck. They really do suck, but it is a part of life and it's a part of doing business. The only way you're not going to get a negative review is by doing nothing. So hopefully you're doing something and you're getting some reviews, and yes, you're going to get a negative one. And this is how we kind of deal with it. I think there's different types of reviews. Some people will just leave us a review and it's literally a 1-star and there's no explanation. And you know what? Unfortunately, in this day and age, and I've heard of this a lot, there's a lot of fake reviews out there because, and this like hurts my heart a little bit because I view life as abundance. I think there's enough for everybody. I think everybody can be successful. You just have to work really hard. But not everybody thinks that way. So there's like agencies and things you can do where you can actually put a ton of negative reviews on somebody else's page. And that like breaks my heart that people would do that. But it happens, and that is just kind of life, and there's different ways you can try to deal with it, and hopefully it doesn't happen to you, but I definitely know that's happened to us. Luckily, we have so many reviews, it kind of gets washed out a little bit. But there are a ton of times where somebody leaves a review, and we know this is not one of our patients. We look through the family history, we look through everything, and they're just not on any of our databases, so we know there's actually just a fake review, and those suck. But I think there are different ranges of reviews. I think, yeah, you have those ones, but then you also have the ones that actually maybe make sense. So I have a couple here that I'm going to talk to you about. One was an email actually that was sent kind of to me or to the office, and it's from actually an amazing patient, like an amazing patient. I love having him at our offices. He's doing Invisalign with us. He's great, but we messed up. And so it says, there's an email. Actually, it's during COVID time. And so he says, I want a full refund of my Invisalign treatment, which is like over $5,000. That was paid on X date. You guys have been unable to fulfill the treatments as expected, and the results have been inadequate. So I'd like to discontinue. And of course, when I got this, I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, I've had so few patients drop out of Invisalign or drop out of braces. So I was really didn't know what was going on. So sometimes, when we get these negative reviews in life, even, if somebody else tells us something negative, my first reaction is like, whoa, like kind of let's go. Like what happened? Like I tend to be confrontational, which is not good. So luckily through time, and I'm still working on this, but through time, I've kind of been able to calm down, and I rarely, almost if ever, respond that first day because your emotions are high. And this goes for probably anything you're doing, but you want to basically make sure that your emotions are calmed down a little bit and you can think through it more logically. If you want to write an email or write a response, okay, but do not send it the first day because you just want to calm down and kind of take a step back and try to be as objective as possible to see, hey, are their complaints valid? And so what I did is I looked at his case a little bit more, and I realized, honestly, everything was going as planned. It's actually going a little bit ahead of schedule. So that got me a little bit more confused, and I was trying to kind of figure out what was going on. So then I actually just called him, and I don't call all patients because I see a lot of patients, so I definitely don't have the time to call every single patient, but I called him. And I just want to figure out what was going on. Like, hey, I know you want to discontinue your treatment. What happened? And then he explained to me kind of everything that went down, and it was just a miscommunication. He thought we weren't getting these trays back for Invisalign, which we were, and everything was ready and everything was going basically on plan, even though it was during COVID. Things were actually maybe a week behind, but basically on time. And after I explained it to him, I took my time, he was super happy. He was like, hey, cool, thanks for calling me, thanks for figuring this out. I want to keep going to you guys. I was sad because I really liked your office. I liked you, but this wasn't going as planned. So he's like, I was trying to find a new dentist. And then he's like, now that you called me, he's like, awesome, this is great. And it's been great ever since. And he came in and it's a world of difference. So sometimes you get those negative reviews and they are correct and you messed up. And so I think it's actually very important to fess up to it if it is a mistake and you think it's not correct. I just think it's better to be honest about it, because I think that creates some transparency. People know, hey, we're trying to do the best, and sometimes we mess up. We're human. So that's one example. We have another example, which was left maybe, this is actually a year ago, so it's a long time, but it was just, they just give us a 1-star, and she says, secretary is so dumb, which I'm pretty sure she's meant to say dumb, and she misspelled secretary. So hopefully when people see this review, they realize this is probably not that great of a review. But those ones, like, what can you do? Like if somebody just doesn't like you, or they, you don't get the right vibe and they just are angry people. And there's a lot of that right now, especially online. They probably won't say it to your face, but they will say it to you via Google, via fake name. That definitely happens. That is just something that happens. And, for those ones, when it's just, people just don't like you, or they are angry and they're frustrated, or they're just mean. I mean, what can you do? Most of the time we won't respond to those ones because it's just so out of left field. I mean, what can you say? There's nothing really to say other than like, thank you for your time. But what do you say? So those ones we don't really respond to. So we had a review maybe 6 months or so ago. It says, nice staff, but not willing to take responsibility when they make mistakes. And this one I actually did respond to because I thought it was a little bit unfair. So this is an orthodontic patient. She's been in braces, maybe 6 months or so. Super, super hard to deal with because, if you're in the field, there are some easy patients and there are some very tough patients. And especially in ortho, because adults are very precise and they want to make sure everything's done properly and they want the best result possible, which I understand because I had braces as an adult too. But yes, this patient is a little bit hard to deal with. And what happened was we put braces on, and she had a previous fracture from when she was younger. And then she came in and everything was still okay. And then she got a cleaning, and then a tooth started to hurt. And then so she basically blamed the hygienist for the pain. And if you're in the dental field, that is basically impossible. I mean, it's not possible unless the hygienist just like had this device and just put it directly on her tooth for like 2 minutes. And I mean, it's so unlikely because we have great hygienists. But yeah, she basically says, hey, the hygienist messed me up, and now she's blaming the doctor. And then we had to refer her to an endodontist, which is a root canal specialist. And she gave him a 1-star review. And then she went somewhere else and gave him a crappy review, but they were able to get her out of pain. And so I responded to her to say, hey, this is something that has happened to you before, where you don't think we're really responsible for this. The possible repercussions of doing what we're doing. And I even personally emailed her, and she basically didn't respond. And she still comes into the office and acts like nothing happened. So that is a little tough because, hey, we're trying to make things right. I'm, treating her like gold, and yet she still kind of doesn't treat us that well. So that is that's a tough one, but I respond on, the medium that she left the review on, just so people know, hey, like, this is our side of it. We respect your opinion, and this is our opinion, but we don't ever respond too lengthy. And that I've seen that a lot of times on different people's sites, where if somebody comes at you, they say, hey, you know what? I wanted a cleaning. They didn't give me a cleaning, yada, yada, yada. And then the owner or the dentist has like this huge long response, and it makes you come off as, better than thou or very confrontational. And I just don't think that's positive. I think the responses should be very brief, very quick, address it and say, hey, if there's anything we can do better, let us try to help you out. Also, though, if it's a response and it's just that people are being super rude or it's not a real patient, we will respond to those too. We'll say, hey, you're not in our database. You're not a real patient. Like, take this down because this is not a real review. Or if the people are being mean and their responses are just, they don't make sense and they're not valid, we will respond to those ones too. We'll say, hey, this isn't fair. This doesn't make sense. And this is why we don't think it makes sense. Although we keep it brief, we don't want to just not respond to anything because I think it just shows you that, or shows the customer that you only respond to positive reviews and you just disregard the negative reviews. So that's how we respond to these things. This is how we respond to the reviews. One of the things that's obvious is you have to have a thick skin if you're doing anything, if you're doing YouTube, if you're doing Facebook, if you're doing Insta, if you're opening an office, if you're doing anything that involves you kind of putting yourself out there, you have to have a little bit of thick skin, so you can't let every little single thing bother you. But let me give you some tools on how we do it at our office and how we use different tools to make it so the reviews get less, or the negative reviews get less and less and less, and we get more and more positive reviews. So one of the things that we use at every single office pretty much is called Swell. And this is just a program that automatically asks people to give us a review once they've left. So say Johnny comes in, he comes in for cleaning. By the time he leaves, I think it's like within the next couple hours, he'll get a text from our office saying, hey, I hope you had a great visit. If you don't mind, leave us a great review. We really appreciate it. And a lot of people will leave you that review. So if you get, if you get that one bad review, but you have hundreds of good reviews, I mean, it doesn't really matter. You go from a 5.0 to a 4.9. I mean, it doesn't matter. You have a ton of good reviews. Everybody kind of knows that there's going to be people that are just angry with you no matter what. Like, I don't know if you can go to almost any spot that serves a lot of people that has like everybody's a 5-star, even like the top restaurants, the top anything, they'll always have some people that don't like them. So if you can get a lot of reviews to drown out the negative reviews, I had this, or somebody told me this a little while ago, and I think this is super correct. Dentistry and orthodontics is tough. I mean, there's no way about it. Dentistry is tough. We are just trying to do the best we possibly can. Yes, there's going to be negative reviews, but you just have to do constantly the best you can, and don't worry about those too much. As long as you have some other good reviews to drown those out, I think you'll be good. The last thing we try to do, and it honestly doesn't seem to do much, but if we have a review, like I said, that's not from a patient, or even we've had these crazy reviews where they're just, the things that they're saying in there is just like not appropriate for Google. It shouldn't be on there for the masses to see, because the words that they're using are not appropriate. And we'll try to report these to Google, letting them know, hey, this is not a real patient, or like, hey, what these people are saying is like really derogatory. It's like really super negative. It should not be like on a public site. But honestly, it doesn't seem to help. So we've tried that. We keep trying it. But I still think our best possible kind of solution to negative reviews is just to get as many positive reviews as possible. All right, guys, there you go. That's how we respond to negative reviews. Number one is we use a company called Swell. It helps us get a lot of reviews. No, we're not paying for reviews. We're not doing anything like that, but we are asking for reviews after every patient leaves the office. Obviously, we're trying to create an amazing environment so people love it, and so they want to give us reviews anyway. If you have a negative review and you think it's worth responding to, try to not take it personally. Do not respond that same day. Keep it brief, and then probably don't go back and forth. Just say your piece. Hopefully they say their piece, and then that's it. Remember, we're all just trying to do our best at anything that we're doing. You have to have a little bit of a thick skin, because you know there's going to be always negative reviews, and that is just a part of life. All right, guys, so if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a question or comment below. As you know, I'm responding to all these questions and comments. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.